Hello, friends. On behalf of Bestway Tours and Safaris, Journey Sans Frontières, I would like to welcome you today to our special webinar on World Heritage Sites in India. My name is Peter Langer, and I'm the Destination Marketing and Education Specialist of Bestway Tours and Safaris. Bestway Tours and Safaris operates tours to over 100 countries. Over the years, we have organized specialized tours for a number of universities, museums, and other renowned institutions. Our headquarters are in Vancouver, BC, and we have operational offices spanning the world. Particularly, we have our own offices, and we run our own buses and our own vehicles in India, in Central Asia, and in the Middle East. Our journey sans frontières have gone beyond political and traditional boundaries since 1978. We offer basically small group cultural tours, as we wish to ensure that people really get the most out of a trip to exotic locales. This means that people will be getting a highly personalized service and truly experience the local culture. Our programs really are designed in such way that you will get not the idea of taking people in droves to a tourist restaurant where they get a tourist plate, but really get more of an understanding of the places we visit. We also offer history that is not necessarily confined to ruins, but also presents a contemporary view of different places all over the world. Scenery that must be seen to be fully appreciated, and genuine contact with people from all over the world. The idea of the small group journey is precisely that we get to meet local people. There's that people to people exchange, which we focus on very much. We have actually pioneered tours to Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq, Libya, Saudi Arabia, Sudan, and North Korea. We're currently even developing a new program to South Sudan, as it is the newest country in Africa and the newest country in the world as of July 1st last year. We've also organized journeys to really remote locations that normally are quite inaccessible to tourists, such as Bouvet Island, which is the most remote island in the world, located in the South Atlantic. We've organized tours to Socotra Island, which is a World Heritage Site off the coast of Yemen, and it's almost like the Middle Eastern Galapagos for its tremendous biodiversity and different types of plants and animals. And of course, we have organized tours to East Timor, one of the newest countries in Southeast Asia. Our specialty is to customize our tours to fit your individual needs. So the whole idea is that we really have developed a great amount of knowledge on destinations. As I mentioned, I have just returned from South America after 6 weeks, really investigating, exploring, and seeing different things. We have discovered over the years that there's a whole pile of travelers, a whole group of people which are interested in World Heritage. Hence, we have created a specialized division of Bestway Tours called World Heritage Tours. First and foremost, what is a World Heritage? Basically, a World Heritage Site is a place that is listed by the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO for short, as being of special cultural or physical significance. This list is maintained by the International World Heritage Program, administered by the UNESCO World Heritage Committee, which is composed of 21 state parties, which are elected by the General Assembly. Every year in the summer, usually in between June and August, there is this assembly which conveys, and the different state parties, different governments suggest, oh, you would be wanting to make this a World Heritage Site. For example, right now, Grand Pré in Nova Scotia, Canada, has just been designed a World Heritage Site in the conference they had in June of this year. The World Heritage Committee establishes the sites to be listed as UNESCO World Heritage Sites. This program catalogues names and conserves sites of outstanding cultural or natural importance to the common heritage of humanity since 1972. And keep that very much in mind, 1972. This year is the 40th anniversary of the creation of the World Heritage Committee. So there will be a lot of advertising. There will be a number of articles. National Geographic is featuring a special issue. These are all very important things to consider when you are marketing these tours. Simply, you are getting free publicity from different places all over the world celebrating the 40th anniversary of World Heritage. That will aid and assist you in marketing these tours to the different people who might be interested. The World Heritage List includes over 900 properties. Currently, there are 968 to be exact, forming part of the cultural and natural heritage of the world, considered to have outstanding universal value. When you look at the map, you will notice that there are three different colors. Well, the green ones are natural World Heritage sites. The yellow little dots are cultural World Heritage sites, and the red dots are World Heritage sites which are in danger. This danger can come from urban development, it can come from global warming, changes in climate, and so special attention and care is given to these World Heritage sites. A UNESCO World Heritage Site must be of outstanding universal value and meet at least one of the 10 criteria to be included on the list. Excuse me, please. Please note that the World Heritage Site is not always consists of a single property. Sometimes a group of monuments, in this case, for example, the Persian Garden in Iran, has more than one location. A group of historical buildings, sometimes these are churches in Mexico or in Bolivia, they are all grouped together because they represent the same amount of significance. Here, for example, you have the churches of the Chiquitanía in Bolivia. These are 6 churches, and they are all on different locations. However, the whole thing is considered a World Heritage Site. Also, you must keep in mind that many sites belong to more than one country. So duplicates exist when you can't count them by country or within a region. There are sites such as, for example, Iguazu Falls, which we see here, which is actually shared by Brazil and Argentina. The Tatshenshini Alec Kluane World Heritage Site in between Canada and the United States is also a shared property. The number, mostly the natural sites, are shared by more than one country. We have created this division of World Heritage Tours to basically design special journeys in Africa, Asia, the Middle East, Europe, and the Americas that focus on visiting as many UNESCO World Heritage Sites as possible. At Bestway Tours and Safaris, we have really identified an avid type of traveler that is keen on visiting World Heritage Sites and started to collect these. In terms of tourism, there is a number of people who like to collect. Let's say we have country collectors, or we have people who like to collect different birds. In the same way, what we are trying to attempt is to get the collectors to come on our tours. Our itineraries have been planned with these collectors in mind. So when we have one of these World Heritage tours, we are trying to incorporate as many World Heritage sites as possible in the itinerary. But the itineraries do not only cover World Heritage sites, they also present beautiful scenery and offer genuine interaction with the local people to appreciate the cultural diversity of the places we visit. In 2012, as I mentioned to you earlier, UNESCO will be celebrating the 40th anniversary of the World Heritage Committee, so there will be ample publicity in much of the mainstream media. Clients that will be interested in these tours can mostly be found in universities, in museums, professional associations, cultural societies, photography clubs, and affinity organizations. So, for example, the Polish Canadian Friendship Society might be one thing, a department of Arabic Studies, a department of Latin American Studies in a university, or a department of anthropology, archaeology. There are also professional associations, such as the Royal Astronomical Society of Canada. Photography clubs also like to come to these things because then they get to see a lot of different places and see them from a slightly different light. This does not mean that many other tour companies do not include the World Heritage Sites. It's just that the tours are focused on this. At Bestway Tours and Safaris, we will also assist you in marketing these tours to your clients through dedicated flyers, presentations to your clients, and other marketing support. We've done a number of presentations in both BC, Alberta, and Ontario. If you happen to have a group of interested people, we will even set up the lecture for you at a community hall or an art gallery or a university setting to help market the tour you are intending to sell. Our travel agency partners will also profit greatly from the generous commissions offered by Bestway Tours and Safaris. We have a special on India, which I will talk to you towards the end of this webinar. Now let's go and look at our brochure of World Heritage Tours focused on India. We really are a company which is focused on all of India. So it's not only the usual Agra, Jaipur, Delhi Golden Triangle circuit or the backwaters of Kerala, which is what many people offer. We also are trying to offer tours to the east and to the west of India, or go into the Himalayan mountains exploring Kashmir. Our great variety of tours, and I believe of the setup tours currently, there are over 40 different tours which Bestway offers in India. Now let's talk a little bit about India, which is the destination we are focused on today. Basically, India can be divided into three main regions. The first one is the Himalayas, which is essentially the mountainous parts of India. Here we have Kashmir, Ladakh, Himachal Pradesh, Sikkim, which used to be an independent kingdom, and Arunachal Pradesh. Then we have, of course, the Gangetic Plain, which is this whole area here. And finally, peninsular India. The population of India, although this is probably already outdated because in the last 5 minutes, probably another million people has been born. The population of India is approximately of 1,200,000,000 inhabitants. The capital of India is the city of Delhi, and in India there exist 23 official languages. Imagine in Canada we're having problems with French and English. Now imagine the packaging in India. The reality is that English is the lingua franca. One of the great legacies of the British Raj is that English is widely spoken, mostly by educated people, all over India. That makes travel in India relatively easier, especially if clients require to get certain services, need a glass of water or where's the washroom. All that is very well understood. In terms of religion, India has every religion in the world you can think of, and all the ones you've heard of, and as well the ones you've never heard of. For example, 80% of the population is Hindu, 14% is Muslim. And when we keep that in mind, India is the second largest in terms of absolute numbers, second largest Muslim country in the world. There are also Christians, Sikhs, Buddhists, Jains, and many, many other animist cults and different religions all over India, which is another great incentive to go to India, is to see the huge variety of all these various religious practices. In terms of UNESCO World Heritage Sites, 29 properties are inscribed on the World Heritage List. Here you have an approximate idea of what they are. 23 of these properties are cultural sites, and 6 of these properties are natural sites. The cultural sites, here you have a good list of them, include a number of monuments from the pre-Islamic times, from the Buddhist times, wonderful the cave temples. They include also some of the most outstanding architecture of the Mughal Empire. There is a number of varied sites because sometimes when you have a 5,000-year history, as India does, you have a huge amount of layer upon layer upon layer at the same site. Some of the latest monuments are also the mountain railways of India. These are trains which were built in the mountainous areas of India by the British towards the end of the 19th and the beginning of the 20th century. It is an immense variety, and quite frankly, you cannot see all of India's cultural sites on one tour. There's also a number of natural sites which try to protect different types of wildlife, particularly some of the tiger reserves in India and some other, the Sundarbans National Park, for example, which is a mangrove environment, and the Western Ghats, which are beautiful vegetation and jungles which are in the mountains. You have the Nanda Devi, the Valley of Flowers National Park. The Valley of Flowers is an area in the Himalayas. It's a tiny valley which is then covered by a carpet of flowers in the months of July and August. The question when to go to India is important because climate really plays a key factor in deciding when to visit India. We have to keep in mind that the climatic conditions in the far north are distinctly different from those in the extreme south. In general terms, the best time to visit the north of India is from October to March. That's when it's dry, the monsoon has passed, and the temperatures are somewhat reasonable. On the other hand, the best time to visit the Himalayas, let's say Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Arunachal Pradesh, is usually from June to September. After that, winter sets in, temperatures of minus 20 degrees, and the mountain passes become impassable. Also, as the monsoon occurs at different times of the year in different parts of the country, really it depends on the region. It's very important to keep all that in mind. In terms of international connections, there has been a great improvement of flights to India. There are very good connections via Toronto to Delhi, Mumbai, and Amritsar. There are also very good connections via Asia, different carriers, Korean Airlines, various Chinese airlines, Japan Airlines, which fly to Delhi, Mumbai, Ahmedabad, Amritsar, Chennai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, and Kolkata. Also, good connections via Europe on, say, Lufthansa, Air France, British Airways to Delhi, Mumbai, Pune, Chennai, Kolkata, Bangalore, Hyderabad, and Kolkata. New connections from Seattle via Dubai are also possible thanks to the new non-stop flight of Emirates from Seattle to Dubai. And there's a huge variety, as there are so many Indian workers which work in the Middle East. There is very good connectivity from India to Dubai. And time-wise, it's about the same as going via Dubai as it is via Europe. Of course, we there's a number of airlines which offer domestic connections. Air India, which has its domestic branch, which used to be called Indian Airlines, but is now Air India. Jet Airways is a fantastic airline. There's a number of other smaller carriers which offering the air services. But one of the wonderful things to explore India is India by train. The railways of India cover approximately 63,140 kilometers. The Indian Railways is one of the largest state enterprises and one of the biggest employers in the world. And they carry approximately 14 million passengers a day. Imagine roughly half of the population of Canada is currently sitting on on a train right as we speak. There's also a number of special trains, such as the Mail, the Express, the Rajdhani, and Shatabdi trains. These are somewhat faster trains. Please do not compare it to the Shinkansen in Japan or the TGV in France. And I mentioned the mountain railways of India. There are three railways which are World Heritage Site, and that's the Darjeeling Himalayan Railway, which dates from 1881. It's one of the earliest railways built in the world. The Kalka Shimla Railway, which dates to the mid 19th century, and the Nilgiri Mountain Railway from 1908. In India, also, and we can arrange that for you, there are also a number of specialized trains in which the train turns into hotels, such as the Palace on Wheels, the Deccan Odyssey train, or the Royal Orient train, are dedicated trains very much along the model of the Venice Simplon Orient Express, which offer deluxe services, and the clients get to stay on board of the train as they basically do the sightseeing, mostly in Rajasthan and Gujarat. Here's an idea of the Shatabdi Express. We tend to use these in some of our itineraries because these are fast, efficient, and very comfortable trains, which offer basically the equivalent of business class seating on airplanes, including meals and drinks and snacks. They're very one more very important note you might want to tell your clients is to by all means take a cardigan, because these trains, although you're in hot India, the air conditioning is so strong you're better off by wearing a shawl or a some sort of a cardigan, because the trains can be quite cold. In terms of the hotels we use at Bestway Tours, we have really tried and aimed for a variety of hotels. Many of them are luxury properties with absolutely immaculate and impeccable service. For example, here you have a turn down in southern India where they placed flowers on my bed. It's an absolutely magical experience to travel through India. You have all received, I take it, the World Heritage Tours brochure. This brochure features only some of our tours. We have one which is our main tour, which is called Northern and Southern Heritage. Now, this tour travels for approximately 29 days from north to south. Because so many people, on the other hand, don't have the possibility of taking 29 days off to see all of India. What we have done is we have, of course, some people will, retired people or people who have accumulated enough vacation time. So, what we have done is we've split this tour. The tour goes through in 29 days, but people can choose to do just the Northern Heritage Tour for 15 days or the Southern Heritage Tour for 17 days. Basically, on day 13, both groups join or merge and then continue. One part of them depart back to Canada and the other part continues. I will just give you a few highlights of this particular tour, and then we will talk also about our Western heritage, our Eastern heritage, and our Journey to the Ganges tours. This tour starts in Delhi. Delhi is India's capital and is actually over 2,000 years old. And Delhi has the particular characteristic of being one of the few cities in the world which has more than one World Heritage Site. Other cities which come to mind right now is Berlin in Germany, Mexico City, which happens to have four World Heritage Sites, but in the case of Delhi, there are three World Heritage Sites in the city. And on these tours, we always, whatever tour includes Delhi, we will include these World Heritage Sites. The one of them is the Qutb Minar. This is from the early Delhi Sultanate. It dates back approximately to the year 1100. And for the longest of times, the Qutb Minar, which is this very tall minaret, this was the tallest building in the world until approximately the 19th century. Until then, New York and Shanghai and other cities took over the Toronto CN Tower. But in terms of earlier structures, this one was the tallest building of the world for about 500 years. It is the ruins of a former mosque. Can you imagine what it meant for the man who had to scream for prayers, running up the tower up and down 5 times a day to call for prayers? It is approximately 392 meters high, so the man must have been top fit. Another important World Heritage Site in the city of Delhi is the Red Fort. In India and Pakistan and Bangladesh, in what we would call the Indian subcontinent, there are approximately 6,000 of these various forts. Some of them are more emblematic than others, some are more elaborate than others. The Red Fort in Delhi has been declared an UNESCO World Heritage Site approximately 3 years back because it has exquisite architecture. These forts are not just like a castle in Europe with a few rooms. They are practically a city within a city, and so there are a number of gardens, palaces, different rooms, and audience halls, which make these places very special. Finally, we have Humayun's tomb. This is the first garden tomb set up in South Asia. Humayun's garden tomb, Emperor Humayun had this beautiful tomb designed for him, and he wanted it to be in a tranquil garden setting. The importance of this particular tomb in the city of Delhi is that it proved to be the model for what later would become the most beautiful, well, it's a personal opinion, building in the world, which is the Taj Mahal. As we want to present a lot of variety on our tours, we also take people to Amritsar, home to the Harimandir Sahib, which is the holiest shrine in Sikhism. The Sikhs are a tiny, tiny minority in India. Well, sometimes in Canada we don't realize that because so many of the Sikh people have moved. Surrey, British Columbia, is actually the third largest Sikh city in the world after Amritsar and Jalalabad in India. And we visit the Golden Temple, which is the Harimandir Sahib, and you get to see the different ceremonies which take place usually at dawn or at dusk and are of great, very colorful. You're very welcome here. They have a part of the temple where you get a free meal, which is part of the Sikh religion. We from there travel to another incredible place, which is not a World Heritage Site, which is the Hinduism's holiest place on the banks of the river Ganges, and that is the city of Varanasi. In Varanasi, we will take you on a boat excursion to see people doing all that ritual bathing in the Ganges River. And there are literally hundreds of thousands of people who come from all over India to pay their respects to this very holy river. And first thing in the morning, just after sunrise, all these people are bathing, praying, washing their clothes, and doing all sorts of activities. It's one of the most fascinating things I have seen in my life, having been to Varanasi three times. We then take you to a completely different area, which is the temples of Khajuraho. These are masterpieces of the Chandela dynasty, which dates back to the 11th and 12th century. These temples are very, very famous for all their erotic sculptures. There are approximately three temple groups: the Eastern, the Western, and the Southern group, which have some of the most beautiful sculptures in stone. And there are hundreds of thousands of these various sculptures, all done approximately life size and with an incredible amount of detail. From here, we travel from Khajuraho via Orcha by Shatabdi Express to the city of Agra. And in Agra, of course, Agra has two World Heritage Sites. Number one is the Red Fort of Agra, which is also a humongous fortress with different palaces, gardens, mosques, and other things which are incorporated into the fort. And then, of course, the highlight of, I would say, any trip to India is the Taj Mahal. It's a symbol of eternal love and the finest example of Mughal art in the world. The Taj Mahal was built by Shah Jahan for his favorite wife, Mumtaz Mahal, and she was his hunting partner, his best friend. And when she died, he decided to build her this amazing tomb. The best way to see actually the Taj Mahal is first thing in the morning, as the building is built out of white marble. Over the sunrise, over dawn and sunrise, the colors on the building change constantly. And it's one of the most peaceful and beautiful moments because in India they have two admissions. One is a much more expensive admission, first thing in the morning, and later at about 8 o'clock, they open the gates with the cheaper pricing, and that's when hundreds of people go in, and it loses a little bit of its magic. On all tours offered by Bestway Tours and Safaris, we offer the early morning sunrise at the Taj Mahal. And also, a very important point, when there is a full moon, and that's every 28 days, there is a full moon, the Taj is also open to the public at night. And if the tour coincides with a full moon, we will also take our clients in to admire the Taj Mahal at full moon. Not too far from Agra, about 30 kilometers from it, is Fatehpur Sikri. Fatehpur Sikri was a planned city. It was created by Akbar the Great in the 16th century. And it was supposed to be the new capital of the Mughal Empire in the 16th century. It only lasted 30 years simply because of the phreatic plain, meaning the water, the underground water, dried up, and so people had to abandon the city. And what we now find in Fatehpur Sikri is basically a perfect ghost town which dates to the 1500s, and it's perfectly preserved as the climate is dry. There has been practically no deterioration. The only part which is living of this World Heritage Site is the adjoining mosque because a very important Sufi saint is buried there. No visit to India is complete when we go up on an elephant to the Amber Fort in the city of Jaipur. This is a wonderful excursion where clients board the elephant and go up to Amber Fort to see the most beautiful palace. This is not really a fort, it's more of a beautiful palace where you see some of the highlights of Persian influenced architecture in India. Of course, this is relatively close to the city of Jaipur, which is Rajasthan's capital, which is very famous for its royal architecture. Incidentally, Rajasthan means land of the rulers. A Raja is a ruler. And Stan, in the South Asian languages, means land of. So, Afghanistan is the land of the Afghans. Uzbekistan is the land of the Uzbeks. So that's what actually Stans means. We visit the royal palace in Jaipur, and within the compound, this is a very, very big palace, and it's still being occupied by the Maharaja of Jaipur. Inside the compound, there is an astronomical observatory which dates back to the 17th century, and there are all these incredible astronomical observation artifacts. This part of the palace, actually, the Jantar Mantar Observatory, is what is an UNESCO World Heritage Site. Modern astronomists have come to the site and made measurements on the different instruments which date back to the time of the Mughals and found them absolutely accurate. So 400 years ago, they were reading the stars and the positions of the stars all with the same accuracy as we do nowadays with modern radio telescopes and modern science. From Rajasthan, we travel to Aurangabad, and here we see two completely different cave complexes. So from Aurangabad, first you travel to the Ajanta caves, and then the next day we travel to Ellora. These caves are both each is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. In the case of Ajanta, there's a lot of Buddhist painting and incredible frescoes and sculptures perfectly preserved in the caves. And then, of course, on the other side, in Ellora, you have the world's largest sculpture. This whole temple, the cave temple of Ellora, is one piece of rock. It was carved from the top. It took them approximately 150 years to carve down. And it's an amazing temple. All the little details built on it are carved out of the same rock. You cannot imagine how impressive this is. To give you an idea, here you see a person. There where the arrow is pointing from the mouse, there you see a tiny person here in the corner. That gives you an idea of this impressive work of art. It is actually the largest sculpture in the world. As I mentioned to you, this is roughly in Mumbai where the Northern Heritage Tour ends. And the people, both groups or the same people, will be joining the tour or continuing the tour in the city of Mumbai. From there starts the Southern Heritage Tour. Mumbai is actually the commercial capital of India. It's by the shores of the Arabian Sea, and it's a city which was basically built by the British as their main port of entry. Here you have the Gate of India, which is where they were having these tremendous ceremonies of pomp and circumstance when the Viceroy would come and visit. And it's probably Britain's largest legacy in India. Also, Mumbai really has a very British feeling in terms of its architecture. There's a style which is called the Mughal neo-Gothic style. It was done in Victorian times. It incorporates elements of the neo-Gothic, elements of Moorish architecture, elements of Mughal architecture. The most representative building of it is actually the former Victoria Terminus, which is now called Chhatrapati Shivaji Terminus. This is the most important railway station in India. And if you've seen Slumdog Millionaire, you might remember that a lot of the scenes took place in this railway station. Another World Heritage Site which we visit near Mumbai are the Elephanta Caves. These are also rock carved cave temples. These are reached by a boat excursion from Mumbai. It's a very short excursion, it's only half an hour on the boat, and then you go to Elephanta Island to visit and explore the caves. Other highlights of the southern part of the tour is to visit the Portuguese colonial architecture in Goa. And it is remarkable to see how this Portuguese Baroque style has made its way into India. What is fascinating is the main personages of all these incredible Catholic churches are pretty much the same. The images of Jesus Christ, of the Virgin Mary, and Saint Francis, and different other saints pretty much obey to the standard imagery you get in Latin America, the Philippines, Europe, of course. But what is fascinating is to look at the pictures of the iconography of the smaller personages, the little angels, the shepherds which come to pay their respects to the baby Jesus, all have Indian faces. And for those of you who have been to Brazil, if you go to Salvador de Bahia or you go to Ouro Preto or any of those places, you will find that the architecture is similar, but in the case of Brazil, they will have either black or indigenous faces. From Goa, we travel on to Hyderabad, Hyderabad, which is a city of outstanding Muslim architecture. Please forgive me, but this reads Bangalore. It should be Hyderabad. What is most important here is the Charminar. The Charminar is a four-pillared gateway which has four minarets and goes into each direction. From Hyderabad, in general terms, we also visit Bangalore and Mysore, but then it becomes interesting when we go up in the Nilgiri Mountain Railway. This is a World Heritage Railway, and you can see all these World Heritage Railways are narrow gauged. They were built by the British in 1908, and there are three of them. There's the Kolkata Shimla Railway, which is near Shimla. There's the Darjeeling Himalayan Railway, and then, of course, the Nilgiri Mountain Railway. All three of them are a World Heritage Site. On the southern tour, we also explore Mysore, which was the erstwhile capital of the Wodeyar dynasty in the 18th and 19th century. To visit the palace of the Maharaja of Mysore is something absolutely incredible. The palace itself has well over 300 rooms. We also visit on the southern part the temple complex of Madurai. Madurai in itself doesn't have much to offer except for the Sri Meenakshi temple. The Sri Meenakshi temple consists of all these huge towers with beautiful decorations, and it pretty much takes a full day. It's extended over probably 12 city blocks in terms of size, and you wonder, you enter through one of these entrances, you go through the whole of the thousand pillars. It's filled with incredible sculptures and absolutely marvelous architecture. From here, we go to another World Heritage Site. There was a dynasty, which is the Chola dynasty in Tamil Nadu. Tanjavur is one of these important temples. You can see all the sculpted details. Now, the Chola Empire extended itself all the way to Southeast Asia. So, if you see the temples in Borobudur in Indonesia, or the temples of Prambanan on the island of Java, not too far from Yogyakarta. If you see the temples of Angkor in Cambodia. All that originated in this Chola dynasty, and much of the sculptural work is inspired by these temples. Finally, on this tour, we take you to Mahabalipuram, which is a group of Pallava sanctuaries along the Coromandel coast. With a big tsunami which affected the area approximately 5 years ago, what is interesting is that the tsunami reshaped the Coromandel coast. And in the process, it revealed a number of temples which were buried in the sand before. A lot of those temples are now being excavated by the Archaeological Survey of India. So that gives you an idea of the Northern and Southern Heritage Tour, which is quite a comprehensive tour. However, we have other tours, such as India's Western Heritage. This particular tour visits 10 UNESCO World Heritage Sites. It starts in Delhi, so I'm not going to repeat all the things. And then instead of going to Amritsar, it goes from Delhi to Agra, then the city of Bhopal, travels through Madhya Pradesh into Indore, and the wonderful abandoned city by the Afghans, which is the city of Mandu, travels on to Ahmedabad, and continues on to explore Gujarat, from which point we go to the Ajanta and Ellora caves and ends in Mumbai. Some of the highlights is, aside from the things I just mentioned in the previous tour, is Bhopal, which is a city with some of the most exquisite Afghan Muslim architecture. And it's interesting because in Bhopal, the ladies still run around wearing burqas, mostly not so much for traditional reasons, but mostly because with the tremendous heat, the 40 degrees and the tremendous sunshine, the burqa protects the lady's skin, and so it's not mandatory. They are not going to get flogged or anything. It's simply because it's for reasons of beauty that they are all wearing the burqa in Bhopal. Near Bhopal, approximately an hour and a half away, is Sanchi, which is the oldest Buddhist sanctuary in existence, approximately 2,500 years old, and it's also an UNESCO World Heritage Site. We also have a tour which goes through eastern India. This particular tour starts in Hyderabad, continues to Orissa, then from Orissa makes it into Kolkata, which used to be called Calcutta, and then travels through Arunachal Pradesh, going to a number of different monasteries in the eastern Himalayas. It's a remarkable tour because it goes through a lot of Tibetan heritage that has been destroyed in Tibet. It ends up in Darjeeling, where we get to see one of these other World Heritage mountain railways. Just some of the highlights to give you an idea. We take you to Orissa, which is a region with a very unique Indo-Aryan Nagara-style temples. There is approximately 50 of these temples in Bhubaneswar, which is the capital of the state of Orissa. Also, a remarkable World Heritage Site in Orissa is the Konark Sun Temple. It has a monumental representation of the sun god Surya's chariot. So the whole temple, this tremendous, and look at the size of the people again for scale. This tremendous thing represents actually a chariot and has these amazingly sculpted wheels. Another wonderful highlight of this particular tour is Kolkata, which was the capital of India during the British Raj until 1911, when they moved the capital to New Delhi. Kolkata is actually my favorite city in India. I've only been 14 times to India, and I find it very, very interesting. There's a lot of cafes, there's good theater, good English theater, fascinating bookstores, and it's a charming city to visit and not normally promoted very much by the various Indian government tourism offices and so on and so forth. Personally, I find Kolkata tremendously charming. Food is also wonderful, and the Bengalis have probably the most delightful sense of humor in all of India. As I mentioned, you travel through a lot of different monasteries throughout the eastern Himalayas, ending up in Darjeeling, which is the queen of the hill stations. Darjeeling served more than one purpose. One, of course, and you have all heard of Darjeeling tea. This is where the biggest tea plantations in eastern India, this and of course Assam, were constructed. But Darjeeling was also a hill station, so when it was terribly hot during the monsoon, many of the British higher administration, the viceroy or so, would move to Darjeeling for the summer months because it's much, much cooler. In general terms, we have other tours through India. For example, this tour of Journey to the Ganges, which starts in Delhi, then goes from Delhi to Haridwar, Rishikesh, travels along the Ganges, and then, of course, we include Agra, Khajuraho, Varanasi, and Allahabad and Lucknow. So it's a different sort of journey to see other parts of India. On this particular tour, for example, people will follow in the path of the holy Ganges River and visit approximately 7 UNESCO World Heritage Sites. It's mostly a very holy tour in terms of Hinduism. We don't only offer World Heritage tours to India, but in the surrounding region, we also have a tour which is the World Heritage Sites of Sri Lanka. This is perfectly well a good combination with southern India. To travel from Trivandrum in Kerala to Colombo, the main airport in Sri Lanka, only takes 45 minutes. On this tour, we visit 6 UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Most of them are related to Sri Lanka's ancient Buddhist heritage. We also have, and this is well combined with the East India tour, we have a journey to Bangladesh. Um, Bangladesh has only 3 World Heritage Sites, but it is important to these collectors, and it can really be done in 4 or 5 days. So that is also a good idea to combine that with an Eastern India tour. We also offer World Heritage Sites of Pakistan to complete the whole Indian subcontinent. On this 12-day tour, we visit all 6 UNESCO World Heritage Sites. The interesting thing is that the Indus River Valley civilization originates along the Indus River, which is now in Pakistan. You get to see the city of Mohenjo-daro, which is dates back to approximately 5,000 years before Christ. In terms of the generic World Heritage Tours, we have created this wonderful 40-page brochure, which is available in electronic form or in physical form. And just to give you an idea, our minimum group size is 2 passengers with a maximum limited from 12 to 16 passengers. It varies a little bit according to the destination. Once the minimum size group size has been reached, the tour will definitely operate. Remember that the minimum group size is 2 passengers. What is important to note is we like to keep it small, mostly because when you're touring and you're going on a slightly larger tour, it takes an awful lot of time for people to get their pictures, to buy their souvenirs, to get into the restaurant, rest room stops, and so on and so forth. A tremendous amount of time is wasted. And by keeping the groups small, that allows for a much more efficient way of traveling and ultimately gives the clients much more time at the actual destination or interaction with the people. It is very important to note that Bestway also customizes tours to suit your client's own requirements, whether that's for a single traveler or for a group. So if you have a group that is ladies only, or a group that is interested in textiles, or all these other special interest types, we are perfectly capable of organizing these tours. We feel very confident and comfortable in customizing tour programs to suit your client's own areas of interest, but above all, dates. So they don't necessarily have to leave on what have you, the 16th of December. If they want to leave on the 13th, that is entirely possible. The whole idea is that when you plan a trip with us, you will save time, money, and above all, hassle. Yes, there's a lot of things available on the internet, quick and cheap and what have you, but careful in India, you seriously have to be paying attention. There's a lot of bait and switch, especially over the internet, and ultimately, you do get what you pay for. And that really has an impact in your client's holiday, particularly in India. There's a gigantic step from a slightly better property to a not so slightly better property, and that could be very impactful on a trip of a client. We're really committed to providing you with superior quality travel at real value per dollar prices. We have an additional benefit to travel agents this time around. Instead of the standard 10% commission, you can earn 12% commission on all India tours booked and paid for before September 30th of this year. The tour itself has to be completed by the end of May 2013. So that's an extra 2%. The nice thing about all of these World Heritage tours is they usually it's two people which will take it. It is an easy it's an easy $1,000 you can make in commission by booking one of these more specialized tours. Further, Bestway Tours is hosting a 12-day FAM to Rajasthan in September of this year. Uniglobe agents will get the first preference. Interested agents should just send an email to bestway@bestway.com. And what you do is you put into the subject matter Rajasthan Farm, and specific details will be emailed to agents that are actually interested. So we are not putting this out in the media or in the press. This is, as I said, put in the email Rajasthan Farm, and the specific details will be emailed to you directly. We have created a dedicated website called worldheritagetours.com, which is still a division of Bestway Tours, but here you will find much more information, interesting links in regards to World Heritage, which should assist you in selling these tours. For detailed itinerary information, optional tours, additions, we recommend to you to visit our website, which is bestway.com. You can also call us in Vancouver at 604-264-7378, or anywhere in Canada or the United States. Feel free to call us toll free at 1-800-663-0844, and email bestway@bestway.com. Don't forget the fun trip. And now I'm going to open the telephone lines should you have any specific questions. Just one moment. This is going to take approximately 10 seconds.